I think you all must recognize by this point, is that whatever the bidding process is on projects that the school may undertake needs to be transparent, needs to be public, and in my opinion, needs to be taken away from control by the superintendent of schools. We have two bidding processes, in the last year that have come under scrutiny. One is for the consolidation. I foiled. I couldn't get any financials on how the numbers for the $13.8 million bond was developed. Presuming they aren't there. No minutes were taken in any of those meetings. The bidding process, it's hard for me not to look at it as potentially corrupt because it's so invisible, so inaccessible to us. And the only information I got were highly redacted calendar pages from the superintendent's meetings. This isn't right. This needs to be public. And again, I take you back down to the village. The village has, for any project over $35,000, it's all up front, it's all transparent, it doesn't devolve to one entity. So that to me showed a bidding process that excluded the public, wasn't good for local contractors, wasn't good for me as a taxpayer, wasn't good for the students, according to What About the Kids in the Chatham Press. Felt that closing the middle school and putting everyone down in the valley was harmful, was dangerous to their person, which I, as a parent, that definitely motivated me to fight against it. They also thought it was dangerous to them socially. Okay, now we have what I call the tax excess access road. Here's a gravel road over village land. It's taken a year for it to metastasize from 350,000 to 700,000. And we get nary a comment from the board. Who is the number one fiscal beneficiary? SEI Design Group, a Premium Diamond NYSCOSS member. So what we're seeing transparently, and all of you know this, is that public bodies are constantly under pressure, fiscal pressure and control from outside corporations to send public dollars to private companies. It's just transparent. We all know it. I will send you guys an article about California schools. They call boards of education like you guys a $13 billion battlefield for the tech industry. They are selling you computers because they know that you individually are saturated with computers. So they're coming in and they're saying, oh, now we got to get every kid a computer inside the school. So you guys aren't just getting recommendations from the superintendent. You're getting recommendations from the corporations which are pouring mammoth money into NYSCOSS. And Common Core is also a NYSCOSS initiative. It isn't coming from you guys. It isn't coming from the parents. You've heard the teachers, Mr. Dwyer, talk with great pain against it. It's coming from the federal government and education contractors and corporations. And I can also send you an article from NYSCOSS that calls parents fearful, administrators, it's insulting. And then, it says 83% of the superintendents support it. It's from the New York State Council of School Superintendents. All of these initiatives aren't from you guys. And I want to see the board start recognizing that they are embattled, a financial battlefield. And that when you do policy, you should be looking to protect our tax dollars. And I see the disaster, to me, it's not going to happen, I don't think, but the disaster of having taken what should have been a village bid thing or a cooperative thing between the village and the school system and putting it to this unknown, unclear process. And I'll give you one example. Another school system had an elementary school with one method of egress. A generous developer had adjacent land and offered to deed it to them free to build a road. This is a 780-foot road. Not a gravel road, a fully paved road. The school system of ethical, hyper-conscious, taxpayer-conscious members got together and in a month they contracted with the town to have them do the road at cost. Town went in, built the 780-foot road. How much do you think this road cost? Let's say our gravel road's 100 feet. This is 8 times longer road. Any guesses? About $60,000. That's the kind of humane, taxpayer-conscious, safety-conscious actions I expect out of my village and out of my school board. Thanks. On the business tonight, among other things, is to distribute more money to the Architect SEI Design Group. I'm handing out a sheet that shows payments to SEI Design Group of $668,587 since the arrival of Superintendent Nuciforo. SEI Design Group is a premium diamond NYSCOSS partner. They pay $10,000 for access and advocacy to school boards like this. There's been talk by members of the board about independence. Well, clearly, using SEI is not independence. It appears to look like patronage. SEI has been used consistently for the last 5 years. I don't know if anyone else has had any opportunity. SEI is not a local contractor, and their fees are high. Any architectural project that SEI does, they slap 20% on top of it. Attached to this at the back is Socrates' emails to me regarding their road. A road fully paved 3 times as long, done with the town. They now say the final figures are closer to $17,060 as opposed to $700,000 projected by SEI.
And I'd like to also note that SEI is a member of the New York State Council of School Superintendents, which is a lobbying firm for access and advocacy for corporations to get into school districts to get their tax money. Corporations are profit-oriented organizations that want a big tax money. There's no manufacturing anymore, so the big money left is taxes. School district taxes, $30 million a year right here. So I also urge the board to vote no on SEI and to take in bid the job out to other organizations, give other organizations an independent chance to do this work.
I'd like to talk briefly about the access road that I've been reading about in the newspaper, and also listening to developments on at the school board. It's hard to do with this without giving some background. For 2 years I've been attending almost every board meeting, that is twice a month, as well as doing research on my own. And so I know perhaps a little bit more about the school board and how it works and the school system than you might be privy to. I sent a letter to Tom mentioning that I came here I think at the end of 2013 when Nuciforo was suddenly showing up, the superintendent, looking to gain access over the village land. And I had a conversation with you and said, don't give away egress, don't give away the bidding process that the village owns over village land. That it's a gravel road on village land. This is a taxpayer issue. It is also a social justice issue that local contractors be able to bid on this in a transparent manner. They came out with their first projections of $350,000 in January without seeing any numbers, without seeing any paperwork. SEI Design Group, a premium diamond NYSCOSS partner, has metastasized this budget to $700,000. The process for doing this is because you guys failed me as a taxpayer and a villager when I tried to warn you that the process at the school is different than it is at the village. And I'll give you an example of a responsible, effective, transparent process in another school system, Socrates. They had a second method of egress offered to them as a piece of land adjacent to an elementary school. A 780-foot road. The road we're looking at here over village land is 240 feet. Their projection, because they went to the town, they said, can you guys do this? And the town said, yes, we can. We can do this at cost. fully paid. The projected cost was $60,000, and that's not the full projected cost. That's actually a combination of lesser costs. So that is approximately 1/10 of what this school has done with this road. And it's a 3 times larger road, so it's 1/30 the cost. At this point, it seems like you guys have let the horse out of the gate. But I would ask you to look seriously at reconsidering granting them egress and giving up the bidding process over village land, because I trust you guys, and I have read the bidding process for villages, and I believe in you. Whereas the superintendent, as she did with the closing the middle school, which had a huge bond, which went to the same beneficiary, SEI Design Group, was all done behind closed doors. I foiled for minutes. They didn't keep minutes on any of the meetings for the development of a $13.8 million bond. And I guarantee you they're not keeping any minutes on the development of this. I know that Tom has been rolling his eyes ever since I first arrived here at me over whether this is your guys' responsibility. It is. When you didn't do what a village would reasonably do, you, to me, sold me out. And every taxpayer and every local contractor in the area.